When Jackson Avery reappears, he undoubtedly conflicts with Meredith. See our review of Grey's Anatomy Season 22 Episode 4 for our complete comments. Let's get started with our scene-by-scene breakdown. Before Teddy has to begin her shift, Cass and Teddy are having morning sex while rolling around in the sack. Cass also worries about what it will be like to arrive at the hospital together with Owen. As Link is released, Owen wheels him out, and when Teddy and Cass show up together, it's awkward. Having to inform her patient that she has stage 4 cancer makes Bailey sad. After treating a child who injured himself after falling from a horse, Simone and Owen discover that the horse was a fake with a stick rather than a real one. Jackson's return to perform a major surgery has everyone giddy. Additionally, he is working with Ben again on it, which means the Plastics Posse 2.0 will be back. This has also thrilled and excited the new Plastics fellow, who wanted to work under Jackson because she adored him. He assigns her to another case, nevertheless, after learning that she is a plastic fellow. This seems to amuse Quan, and they still don't seem to get along at all. When Mare gets in touch with Jackson to talk about Korosik publishing her research on the mice, she points out that Korosik only looked at male mice, which is something she has been attempting to avoid because the outcomes for males and females differ significantly. Jackson, however, notes that Mare has been at Grey Sloan all summer and appears to have abandoned her study in an abandoned lab, so he won't stop anything. The other boy has problems and has collapsed. Link is on the other child's side and claims he needs an X-ray, but Owen keeps benching Link and telling him he can't assist. Lucas is forced to stay with Katie for the day by Bailey so he can look into ways to support her cancer treatment. However, Katie doesn't seem to be all that impressed with Lucas, and if he is going to continue working on her case, she needs all of his background and facts. Jules's refusal to move in with Simone and Blue seems to offend Simone. She is unable to determine the reason behind that. Nora states that she is experiencing chest symptoms when Teddy spots her in an examination room. Ben discovers a hernia in the patient Jackson is meant to operate on, and because Meredith is still in the hospital, Jackson has reluctantly asked for her assistance and persuade her to let him remove it. She is still upset with him, though. However, Jackson declines the patient's request to have both procedures done at the same time, but Meredith pushes, causing them to clash once more. This persists when they are in surgery together and are always arguing, and Mare points out that women's healthcare is completely different. The plastics guy enters after she goes, still curious to see Jackson at work, but he dismisses her. In order to scrub in and replace him, Quan notices and feigns illness. While Katie stops by to ask Lucas questions about her exams as he is conducting his research. They had to take her away after doctor examines her and finds that she has a blood clot. Owen snaps at everyone and instructs them to respect the patient while the others make fun of the child they are operating on because of the hobby horse he was playing with that initially led to his hospital admission. When Link tries to follow up with Owen following the surgery, he becomes enraged and says he doesn't know what it's like for him to lose his wife, marriage, and closest friend. In the meantime, Teddy develops a close relationship with Nora and confides in her about the divorce and her difficulties. After Lucas helps Katie settle in after treating her blood clotting, she confides in him about her wish to experience new things, fight her cancer, and keep it a secret from her loved ones. He consoles her as she sobs and gives him a hug. When things get tight in the operating room, Jackson is impressed by the plastic fellow's excellent suggestions throughout the breast reconstruction procedure. He invites her to join the Plastics Posse. Jackson approaches Mare and offers her an apology. After talking with Bailey, Ben comes to the conclusion that, because he is so enthusiastic about plastics, he might want to remain a resident for 3 years. Lucas informs Bailey that he wants to persevere with the Katie case and is okay with missing a lot of time on other major cases. When Owen goes to apologize, Link expresses gratitude to him for being the only person who actually follows up with him. In the meantime, Teddy confides in Cass, telling her that she used to have control over her life and that it is now chaotic. However, Cass is devoted to what they already have. Owen and Nora go out to dinner when Nora spots him outside. Jules explains to Simone that she is hesitant to move in because she has a history of being a bad roommate and doesn't have many friends. She fears that if she moves in with her, their friendship will be ruined. After discovering Quan in the microlab, the plastics fellow subtly offers him advice on how to complete his assignment. They appear to be preparing him for his next Grey's romance with her. Mare informs Richard that she has determined that estrogen is impeding the female mice's ability to react appropriately to the medications, and she wants to go back to Boston. For the foreseeable future, she will be traveling to Boston once again. Early on in Goodbye Horses, Grey was upset to learn that Korosik, who has always been just as quick to stitch as to backstab, had published his research on Alzheimer's that had left out female mice. Why hadn't Mare released her own work? Jackson inquired. She still didn't understand why female mice's cancer cells were unaffected by drugs. Check out the Grey's recap from last week. Once more, Meredith took off. Jackson intensified his critical tone by accusing Mare of abandoning her lab and study in Bow. Mare, you go. Owen and Nora re-established contact. In other news, Hunt ran into Nora, who had arrived with chest symptoms, which turned out to be indigestion, as Teddy and Cass overcame their first relationship obstacle, awkwardness around Owen. However, she left the hospital with more than just a prescription for Tums. She was going to dinner with Owen. More, the star of Grey considers a new spin-off. Ben was excited to join the plastics posse after working with Jackson on the breast augmentation. Blue won back some points with Kavita by pretending to have food poisoning in order to impress Jackson, and Lucas developed a particularly strong bond with Bailey's patient, Stacy, who had been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. He was even prepared to give up time in the OR to complete her case. What are your thoughts? Was Lucas simply devastated by Stacy's prognosis, or was he kind of smitten on her? Are Teddy and Owen pursuing new relationships too soon? After seeing the photo collection of Grey's Anatomy stars from the past and present below, leave a comment. Goodbye Horses, the 4th episode of Grey's Anatomy Season 22, which aired on October 30, 2025, centers on the doctors balancing difficult cases and personal revelations, which results in a number of crucial character choices. Important plot points. Meredith's choice. Jackson Avery confronts Meredith about her absence from her lab in Boston when he returns to Grey Sloan. He urges her to carry on her groundbreaking research on Alzheimer's disease, which she has found produces different outcomes in female mice than in male mice because of estrogen. By the end of the episode, Richard Webber fully supports Meredith's decision to go back to Boston to continue this research. Owen and Teddy's struggles. After having sex that morning, Teddy and Cass Beckman show up at the hospital together, which results in an uncomfortable meeting with Owen and Link, who are being released. Nora, a well-known person who had an affair with Owen during their open marriage trial, is later treated by Teddy. Owen later apologizes to Link for his hostility and may arrange a dinner date with Nora after Teddy and Nora connect over their divorces and personal troubles. Ben and Bailey. Bailey finds it difficult to inform Katie, her patient, that her cancer has progressed to stage 4. Ben Warren develops a fascination for plastic surgery while Lucas and Katie search for clinical trials for Jackson's intricate breast reconstruction case. Ben is urged by Bailey to pursue plastics, despite if it entails an additional 3 years of residency, fostering his contentment and professional development. Intern dynamics. 2 young guys who were hurt during a hobby horse competition are the subject of an odd trauma case that the interns handle. Jules and Simone. Jules turns down Simone's request to move in with her. She goes on to say that because she has had unpleasant roommate experiences in the past, she needs several loud alarm